Good morning, my name is Jibril.
And my name is Malachi. Today we are representing the BBC School News Report. We have 3 stories.
In our first story, Yassine will be representing the life and achievements of Stephen Hawking.
This is BBC School Report from PaddAcademy, and today we're going to discuss the life and achievements of Stephen Hawking and how he inspired the world in mathematics and science. Stephen Hawking was inspirational and has changed the world with his knowledge of maths and science. He is well known for his discovery of his theory on black holes, from graduation in Oxford University to being diagnosed with motor neuron disease at the age of 21 and being expected to die in 2 to 3 years after. He went on to motivate scientists for an extra 50 years. Over his lifetime he has written 12 books, and one was published in 1988 and has sold over 11 copies, which has been translated into 40 different languages. Now we are going to 4 people who have been interviewed because they were inspired by Hawking's work.
Well, Stephen Hawking, for a start, he was the best at maths, and you know, I always had this feeling that Stephen Hawking is just one of the wonders of the world.
Well, the fact that he's so smart, and it just motivates me to keep trying hard with my science and my works.
Well, Stephen Hawking was always dedicated to his work and motivational, because even in the biggest barriers that he was going to face, he would go through it and never give up.
Unfortunately, one of the most intelligent minds have passed, affecting many, but he will be remembered for years to come, not only for his hard work but for his contributions to scientific and mathematical communities. Stephen Hawking, 1942 to 2018. This is BBC School Report, PaddAcademy.
Thank you, Yassine, for that touching report.
Now, to Jamila, Zara and Wada for their look into the gender pay gap in the UK.
ITN reveals this week that there is a gender pay gap amongst their employees of 18%. ITN are just one of the many companies to reveal that their female employees receive less than their male peers. This week, Netflix reveals that Claire Foy receives less pay for her work on the show The Crown than Matt Smith, despite her being the lead character. What are your thoughts on this issue?
I don't agree because this is unfair.
What do you already know about the gender pay gap?
I know that women and men get different money, like they don't get the same, such as actress and the actor, even though they have the same job, the actor will get more money. This is not fair.
Thank you.
Do you support this idea of the gender pay gap?
Do I support the idea? I support that we need to do something about the gender pay gap. I think it's a really bad thing that we need to tackle as a country across the world as well. So I support the idea that we should do something about it, yeah. I don't support the gender pay gap as a thing though.
Yeah. If you were the government, how would you tackle this issue?
I think firstly there needs to be a lot more transparency, and what I mean by that is everyone should know that what people are getting paid and if there is a difference between the two. I think once everyone knows how much of a issue it is and that's been communicated with everyone, then I think people will be much more inclined to do something about it. And I then think the pay needs to be moved in line with each other, so males obviously should be paid the same amount as females, and there shouldn't be a discrepancy at all. It should be based on the work that you do, the role that you have, nothing to do with gender.
If you were a woman suffering from the gender pay gap, what would you do to solve this?
Well, first thing that I would do is speak to my boss, so whatever job that I would be in, I think it's important to have that conversation and make it known that it's not acceptable. And then it would be a decision that what I'd do next is see how my boss would react. So if my boss would then be, okay, that's fine, we'll now move your pay in line with my male counterpart, then that's fine, that wouldn't be an issue anymore. But if it was then not addressed in the workplace, then I would seek work elsewhere and make sure that in that new role I'd be getting paid the same as a man.
Thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you.
My name is Wada Mohammed, reporting for the BBC School Report from Paddington Academy. Now, back to the studio.
Thank you, Wada, Jamila, and Zara.
Now, over to Ali, who will be speaking to us about the dangers of cyberbullying and how it affects teenagers.
Good afternoon. Today we're here at Paddington Academy to discuss the impact of cyberbullying with students and teachers.
Cyberbullying is the use of electronic communication to bully a person, for example, sending messages of an intimidating or threatening nature. These incidents happen over social media applications like Instagram, Snapchat, or Facebook. With rapidly increasing numbers of teens using mobile devices, cyberbullying is increasing and is becoming more of a problem every day. There are more children who are reluctant to admit to being victims of cyberbullying than actual cases, as some people are scared or embarrassed of the experience. 1 in 3 young children get cyberbullying threats online. However, only 10% of those people go and to tell their parents or teachers. Cyberbullying is associated with mental health problems, which includes depression, sleep disturbances, and eating concerns among young adults and children.
And what effects does it have in students?
I think cyberbullying it's a topic that a lot of the students need to know about. I think it's something that can affect every student during their time in school. So I think that everyone needs to be made aware of the negatives of it and the disadvantages that it can do and the effect it can have.
Okay. And how much of a problem do you think cyberbullying is in this school?
I'm not too sure of how big it is in this school. In terms of stuff that I've taught in terms of to Key Stage 3 about cyberbullying, we've seen some cases where it's led to students, committing suicide or bigger effects. But it's not just to children, but also to adults as well. So yeah, it definitely has an effect.
Okay. How many accounts of cyberbullying do you think goes without adult help?
I think there's probably more that doesn't get reported than does. So for every one that does get reported, there's probably 5 that don't get reported.
Yeah. And how do you think the school could prevent cyberbullying?
Maybe greater awareness, so you might have some more assemblies, maybe students could be more forthcoming with it, maybe more things outside of school, extracurricular activities, clubs to promote it.
Do you think that cyberbullying actually increased over this time?
I'm not too sure. I think it's something that will increase the more that you use social media and the more technology you have at your hand. So I think it's a problem that will grow, but I think with the right awareness, it's something that you can bring down.
I think that cyberbullying has on students and on their education.
I think for some people, if you're being cyberbullied, you're less likely to come into school. And if you're less likely to come into school, then you're less likely to do well in your education. So yes, it definitely has an effect on your education.
Would you tell someone if you were being cyberbullied, and if not, why?
I would tell someone, definitely. Tell a responsible adult or tell your head of year, tell a teacher, someone that can make an impact if you're being cyberbullied.
Okay, thank you. What are your thoughts on cyberbullying in schools, and what effects does it have on students?
I think that the effects are really bad just because lots of students, they feel very scared, and when they go into school, because if the person is bullying them online, they feel scared, they don't want to go near school. They feel like they want to tell a teacher, but they know that if they do, they might get bullied even more. That's what I think about cyberbullying.
How much of a problem do you think cyberbullying is in this school?
I think cyberbullying is a pretty big problem generally, but in this school, I think it probably happens a few times. But yeah.
Okay. How do you think the school could prevent cyberbullying?
What they could do is they could check with the parents and the parents or guardian, check what they're doing online to see if they get bullied or anything's not right. And then once they check, they could report it to the school. And once they report it to the school, that could be a big help, because after when they solve the problem, the child will feel much safer.
Okay. Do you think that cyberbullying actually increased the likelihood of exposure to depression?
It definitely does, because when you're being cyberbullied, you don't want to go to school. People look at you weirdly. They think, oh, this guy's weird. This girl's weird for being bullied, because they don't they don't talk and stuff. So yeah, I think it is an issue.
What effects do you think that cyberbullying has on students' education?
I think it has a big effect because in school they're not going to concentrate a lot and they just think of them getting bullied, and when they go home, think of when they go on their phone or laptop or something, they get like just feel scared and they don't pay attention to the teacher, and then once they get like they probably get in trouble, like they still like feel still feel ashamed and scared, and they really do not know what to do. So yeah, that's what I think.
Would you tell someone if you were being cyberbullied, and if not, why?
To be honest, if I was being cyberbullied, I would try and tell someone, because think about it. If you're being cyberbullied, it's kind of an embarrassing thing. The same way being bullied is an embarrassing thing. You're trying to keep it to yourself. So if I'm being honest, yeah, I would tell.
Why is it embarrassing?
Because if you're being bullied, people just think of you, oh, look at this weak guy. He's being bullied online. He doesn't even know what he's doing. He can't stand up. So that's embarrassing.
Okay, thank you. What are your thoughts on cyberbullying in schools, and what effects does it have on students?
I think that cyberbullying, particularly with the rise of mobile phones and social media, is something that has increasingly become a problem in the modern era. I think that it has an impact in schools because very often things that happen outside of school can have an impact on students and student relationships within the school.
And how much of a problem do you think cyberbullying is in this school?
I don't think it's a big problem, but I think from time to time we do deal with issues where students have had a problem outside of school and this has then come into the school, and heads of year in this school do deal with those problems from time to time.
Yeah. How many accounts of cyberbullying do you think goes on without adult help?
It's very hard to answer that question because obviously if adults don't know about it, then it's very hard to know how many times that has happened, but I'm sure that does happen from time to time.
How do you think the school can prevent cyberbullying?
I think one of the most important things is to have a very strong school ethos. So at Paddington we talk about students having integrity, and we talk a lot of the time about how to show integrity and how to show respect for one another. I think that we can also do a lot in terms of how we teach students in PSHE and in tutor time, and the messages that we give in assembly. I think also it's about seeing any situation where students have a problem with each other as a learning opportunity and a chance to reinforce what good behaviour online and on social media looks like. We also have done quite a bit of work with each year group on online safety through CCOL, and that's been very helpful as well.
Do you think that cyberbullying actually increased the likelihood of depression?
I think it can do, yes. I think when students are victims of cyberbullying, it can lead to them losing confidence, and obviously if that becomes a more serious problem, it can lead to issues like depression. So yes, I do think that's a strong risk. I also think that young people today are under a lot of pressure to present an image of themselves online. So particularly with things like Instagram and other applications, which mean that people often present a version of their life that is an ideal rather than reality. And sometimes that can lead to other young people feeling inadequate because maybe their lives don't add up to the same thing. And I think that can lead to insecurity and to depression.
Okay. And who would you tell? Would you tell someone if you were being cyberbullied, and if not, why?
Yes, I'd like to think that if that happened to me, I would talk to my family or to my friends, and I would like to hope that any student at Paddington, if they were worried about something, would talk to a teacher or to their parents or to their friends, and that we would be able to help them.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
My name is Ali Al-Shaab, reporting for the BBC School Reports.
Thank you, Andy, for that fascinating report.
And now it's Yama with the weather.
As you can see, up in the north, there's heavy rain which had drifted away from the south. In the northern part of the UK, Western Scotland is suffering rainfalls about 50 rain power and 40 wind power. As you can see here, the southern part of England, is at a warmer condition, whilst at 2 p.m. people who live in the western part of the UK will gradually decrease the rain and push it toward the eastern side. Sunny spells will occur to Cardiff, whilst London will have a cloudy weekend, following a mild snowfall on Sunday. Belfast and Edinburgh will both have an equal day, having Sunday an actual Sunday. Both Belfast and Edinburgh will have also a Monday being a sunny day. Thank you for listening.
Thank you for watching the BBC News Report in PaddAcademy. I'm Jabril.
And I'm Anka. Bye-bye.